The night was darker than usual in the small village of Bhavanpur. The villagers believed that when the moon disappeared completely from the sky, the pond at the edge of the forest awakened. They called it Dubki Kund, the pond of drownings. For years, whispers had circulated about the place. Children were forbidden to go near it. Even adults walked miles around rather than pass it at dusk. Some said that the pond had no bottom. Others claimed that when you leaned too close, the water reflected not your face but the face of the dead. But the most terrifying legend was simple. If you heard the pond whisper your name, you had to take a dip, a dubki, or you would not survive the night. Arjun, a young college student from Delhi, had never believed in such superstitions. He was visiting his ancestral village during summer break. His grandmother often told him chilling stories at night about the pond and its cursed water, but he only laughed. "Nani, you really think some dirty pond can kill people? It's just villagers' imagination," he would say. His childhood friend, Ravi, who had grown up in Bhavanpur, warned him. "Don't go near it, Arjun. I'm telling you, people disappear. Just last year, a boy went to catch fish there. They found his clothes on the bank, but his body was never found." Arjun smirked. Or maybe he just ran away with someone's sister. Ravi didn't laugh. That evening, curiosity gnawed at Arjun. He decided to see the pond himself. As twilight settled and the crickets began their chorus, he walked through the narrow path toward the forest. The villagers he passed avoided his gaze. An old man, seeing Arjun's direction, muttered under his breath, "The city boy doesn't know, he's going to wake it." By the time he reached the pond, the last streaks of sunlight were gone. The water looked unnaturally still, black like ink. The surrounding trees leaned over it, their branches twisted like skeletal arms. A faint mist floated above the surface. Arjun chuckled nervously. "So this is the mighty haunted pond, huh?" He picked up a stone and tossed it in. The ripples spread out slowly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, he thought he heard something. "Arjun," he froze. The voice was faint, like a whisper carried by water. His heart pounded. "No," he muttered, shaking his head. "It's just the wind. Ravi's stories are messing with me." He turned to leave, but then it came again, clearer this time. "Arjun, Dubki, Dubki." The sound wasn't coming from the trees. It was rising from the water itself. Arjun's blood ran cold, his mouth went dry, yet an invisible force seemed to pull him closer to the bank. He leaned down, eyes locked on the rippling surface. What he saw made him stumble back. The reflection staring up at him wasn't his. The face in the water was pale, bloated, with empty black sockets instead of eyes. Its mouth opened slowly, bubbles escaping, and from that mouth the word came again. "Dubki." Arjun gasped and fell onto the dirt. His instinct screamed at him to run, yet his legs felt like lead. The reflection grinned hideously, and a wet, decayed hand broke the surface, reaching for him. He scrambled to his feet, bolting into the darkness of the forest, branches whipping at his face. Behind him, the pond rippled violently, as though something huge was stirring beneath. By the time he returned to the village, drenched in sweat and trembling, the night had deepened. Ravi rushed to him. "What happened? Where were you?" Arjun tried to speak but his throat tightened. Finally, he whispered, "It called my name." Ravi's face went pale. He grabbed Arjun's shoulders. "You have to listen to me now. If the pond calls you once, it won't stop. You're marked, Arjun. You'll have to give it what it wants." Arjun shook his head in denial. "No, it's not real. It can't be." But deep down, in the pit of his stomach, he already knew, something had followed him back. That night, as Arjun lay in bed at his grandmother's house, he couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard the sound of dripping water. Somewhere in the distance, faint but insistent, a whisper rose. "Dubki, Dubki." His eyes flew open. He wasn't dreaming. The sound was coming from inside the room. In the corner, by the window, the floor was wet. Drops of dark water trailed toward his bed. Arjun's breath caught in his chest. The water trail glistened in the moonlight, snaking from the window toward his bed like a living thing. His throat tightened. Trembling, he leaned over the edge of the cot and saw droplets falling one by one, soaking the earth floor beneath him. He forced himself to whisper, "Nani." But the old woman was asleep in the other room. No one answered. Slowly, a sound rose from the wet corner. It was the sound of something breathing underwater, heavy, gurgling, suffocating. Then came the whisper again, clearer than before. "Dubki, Dubki." The shadow of a figure emerged, crouching in the corner. Its skin glistened as though water dripped endlessly from its body. The smell of rot filled the room. Arjun's chest tightened with terror. Suddenly, the figure lurched forward. He screamed and scrambled off the bed, rushing into his grandmother's room. She sat upright, startled. Arjun, what happened? He clutched her hands, shaking violently. It was here, the thing from the pond, it came inside. Her face turned pale. She muttered a prayer under her breath and grabbed a small copper amulet from the shelf, pressing it against his palm. I warned you. You should never have gone near that cursed water. The rest of the night passed in suffocating silence. Arjun lay awake, clutching the amulet, staring at the ceiling. The whispers didn't return, but the dripping never stopped. The next morning, Ravi came to check on him. Arjun told him everything. Ravi listened quietly, his jaw tight. You don't understand, Ravi said finally. Once the pond calls you, you're bound to it. It wants you to drown, it wants your soul. That's how the curse survives. Arjun snapped. This is insane. I don't believe in this. Ravi grabbed his arm. You don't have to believe it. Just remember, you've been chosen. Before Arjun could reply, a commotion broke outside. Villagers were rushing toward the fields, shouting. The boys followed. In the middle of the paddy, a group had gathered around a lifeless body. It was Sunil, a farmer who lived near the pond. His body was bloated, his skin pale as if soaked for days. Mud and weeds clung to his limbs. His wife wailed. He went to water the fields at dawn. He didn't even go near the pond. But Arjun knew better. His stomach twisted. He could still smell that same rotting water on the corpse. The pond had claimed another. The old man from yesterday hobbled through the crowd. His sunken eyes locked on Arjun. You, he hissed, pointing a crooked finger. You awakened it. The pond smelled new blood. It won't stop until you bow to it. Arjun's knees nearly buckled. Ravi pulled him away before the villagers turned hostile. Nightfall. That night, Ravi refused to let Arjun stay alone. The two friends locked themselves in Ravi's room. A lantern flickered weakly, casting long shadows. For a while, the silence gave them hope. But then, the lantern sputtered. The shadows twisted unnaturally, and the whisper began again, this time echoing from inside the walls. Dubki. Arjun covered his ears. Ravi shouted, ignore it. Don't respond. The whisper grew louder, overlapping voices now, as if dozens were chanting from underwater. The floorboards grew damp, water seeped through the cracks, pooling around their feet. Suddenly, the lantern blew out. In the darkness, they heard footsteps sloshing in water. Closer, heavier. Ravi grabbed a matchbox with shaking hands. He struck one, and the faint flame illuminated the room. Standing at the doorway was a figure. It was Sunil, the dead farmer. His bloated body dripped mud and water. His mouth opened unnaturally wide, releasing a stream of pond water that spilled onto the floor. Ravi screamed. The match went out. In the pitch dark, all they could hear was the gurgling sound of drowning, filling the room. Then came a chorus of voices, whispering in unison. Dubki. Arjun couldn't breathe. The suffocating darkness pressed against him, the smell of stagnant pond water thick in the air. Somewhere in the black void, Sunil's drowned corpse gurgled like a broken pipe, spilling water with every step. Ravi fumbled again with the matches. His hands shook violently, but finally, strike, a single flame lit the room. The doorway was empty. The water pooling on the floor glistened, rippling as though something unseen had moved through it. Arjun, Ravi whispered, clutching his friend's arm, we can't stay here. It's getting stronger. Arjun swallowed hard, his heart hammering. Then what do we do? Where do we go? Ravi hesitated. There's one person, the only one who knows the truth about the pond, old Bhuvan Baba. He was the pond's guardian before he went mad. Arjun almost laughed, but the terror in Ravi's eyes killed any sarcasm. He nodded. Let's go. Bhuvan Baba's hut. The hut stood at the edge of the forest, crooked and forgotten, its roof sagging with moss. Inside, the air reeked of incense and damp earth. Strange charms and bones hung from the ceiling. The old man sat cross-legged before a dying fire, his skin like wrinkled parchment, his eyes glowing faintly in the flickering light. You shouldn't have come, Bhuvan rasped, before they even spoke. It has already claimed you. Arjun stiffened. Ravi stepped forward. Baba, please, tell us what this curse is. How do we stop it? The old man closed his eyes, chanting under his breath before answering. Many years ago, he said, his voice hollow, this village was not as peaceful as you see. The pond was once a sacred place, where women came to fetch water. But greed poisoned it. The landlord of Bhavanpur demanded taxes too high. One night, when the villagers could no longer pay, he gathered them by the pond. He chose 5 families, accused them of theft, and drowned them with his own hands. Children, women, men, no one was spared. Arjun's skin crawled. Bhuvan's eyes flicked to him. Their souls never left. The water became their grave. Their screams became whispers. And the pond demanded more. Every generation, it calls someone. If that person resists, the curse spreads, drowning others until it is satisfied. Ravi swallowed hard. And if the chosen one obeys? The old man's eyes burned into Arjun. Then he must take the Dubki. One dip in the water. A surrender. Only then does the curse rest. For a while. Arjun stepped back, horrified. You want me to drown myself? Bhuvan's lips curled into something between a sneer and pity. Not drown, but give yourself to it. Taste death, even for a breath. That is the price. Arjun's fists clenched. No, this is insane. I'm not killing myself for a stupid legend. The fire crackled violently, and for a second, the flames turned blue. Bhuvan's voice deepened. Refuse, and watch everyone you love drown in their beds. The first attack. That night, back in Ravi's house, Arjun sat awake, replaying the old man's words. His heart screamed at him to leave the village at dawn. To run back, to Delhi, to pretend none of this was real. But deep inside, he knew running wouldn't help. The pond wasn't bound by land. It was bound to him. A faint dripping sound pulled him from his thoughts. Drip, drip, drip. He looked up. The ceiling was dry, but when he looked down, his bed was wet. His clothes clung to his skin. He was soaked as though he had just crawled out of water. His lungs tightened. He gasped for breath, but instead of air, water rushed into his throat. He gagged, choking, clawing at his neck. His vision blurred. He could feel cold hands gripping his ankles, dragging him down into an unseen depth beneath the floor. Ravi. He tried to scream, but only bubbles escaped his lips. Through the blur, he saw it again, the pale, eyeless faces of the drowned, surrounding him, their mouths moving in unison. Dubki, Dubki, Dubki. He thrashed violently. His chest felt like it would burst. Just when darkness began to consume him, strong hands pulled him upward. Ravi's voice shouted, panicked, Arjun. Breathe, wake up. Arjun coughed violently, water spilling from his mouth onto the floor. He collapsed, gasping desperately for air, while Ravi pounded his back. The floorboards were dry again. There was no sign of water. No footprints. No dripping. Ravi's terrified eyes met his. It's not giving you a choice anymore, Arjun. It's coming for you whether you want it or not. Arjun wiped his mouth, trembling. His heart was pounding, but a darker thought took root in his mind. What if Bhuvan Baba was right? What if the only way to survive was to surrender?